I'm Leanne Tran, psychologist who's worked with families whose kids don't fit the mould for almost 20 years. I've worked with children for decades, but I know parents are the real change makers when it comes to their kids. Having 3 kids of my own means I know it's not easy. Parent Like a Psychologist is all about simplifying how you support your kids with psychology information filtered through years of experience to take you from overwhelmed to confident. Come on in. Hi, parents. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Parent Like a Psychologist. Really excited to have you here for chatting about this really common issue of why school mornings feel like a war zone sometimes and what can help. Um, War zone sounds really extreme, but honestly, I resonate so much with the feeling of being, um, the morning being so tricky to get multiple kids ready, um, including adults getting ready and out the door and everyone to where they need to go, and then navigating things like, that forgetfulness. For example, forgetfulness comes with ADHD, so someone's forgotten something or someone's stressed about something, or with anxiety that can sometimes be those really tearful separations and drop-offs, or it can be the kids who get that fight response from anxiety and they're like, I'm not going and you can't make me. Um, and I've had way more experience of this than I wish for, of dealing with all of that, doing all the drop, getting to work and thinking, I'm done. I do not have the energy to do anything more today. I feel like I've already done a full day's work. And I know I'm not the only one because I share that experience a lot with the parents that I talk to about don't you feel like once you do it all and you get there, like you're done for the day? And it's so many parents say, yes, oh my goodness, it's so hard. Um, so, you know, for you, whether it's school refusal, whether it's slow moving kids in the morning who are having trouble waking up and using their executive functioning brain, or emotional outbursts, whether that's anxiety or, you know, I don't know, being just generally upset, difficulty regulating, or defiance with all the school steps, then this episode is for you. So, if your mornings feel like chaos, firstly, you are not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your child. There's probably something wrong with some of the strategies that you're using, or it's just a bad day. But if you're having a lot of bad days in a row, there's probably some things that you can do to try to prevent a lot of these challenges. Um, I say a lot that emotions, when they run high, we all stop thinking and we can't problem solve well. And that's not the time to be able, we can't really reason and be rational and get our way through this. So, really, at that point, it's just about keeping everyone safe and trying to just get through it. You're much better off putting your energy into teaching kids skills and setting up your home to support them so that you prevent as many of these mornings as you can. So, again, I think it's important to understand and think, address our mindset first off, and then can talk about strategies that can help. It's really important to understand why the mornings are hard. And so, as part of that, it can be about why school is hard. It might be for your child that they have a lot of anxiety. That could be about separating from you, or it could be from about going to school. It might be school itself. It might be that there's not a feeling of consistent support at school. It could be issues with peers. It could be learning challenges as well. That's another common reason kids don't want to go to school. The other thing is, think about how's your child made up? Do they have difficulty with transitions? there's a lot of transitions in the morning routine. It's getting out of bed, it's then moving from task to task to get it all done. Sometimes it's sensory overwhelm. So it's the noise, it's the physical touch, and all of those things that increase our kids' distress or stress levels. Uh, and there was another one I wanted to mention. It's just jumped out of my head. Oh, that's right, executive functioning, which is funny that that slipped out of my head because executive functioning, one of the key skills is being able to remember what you need to complete the task, which I obviously just had trouble with. Um, so that's about remembering all the steps and not getting distracted while you're in the middle of them. And so many kiddos find that super hard. So it's really important to understand first off why your kid is having the challenges, because understanding the why is what will lead you to the right strategy to use. And so strategies that can help are, first of all, I want to talk about what you need to have in your home first. And so some of those things that will help all kids are visual visual information, or at least even written information once kids get bigger. But it's having that information about what's happening and the tasks and steps that need to be completed, having that readily available so that your kids can refer to it. That eliminates some of the not sensory, executive functioning requirements. It eliminates some of the stress and worry, and it eliminates the need for memory. Sometimes it helps with those challenges with transition as well. So it's such a good strategy, and I do have a guide for that, which you can download and create your own visuals. I'd say to then the you know doing as much pre-planning as you can be helpful, like whether that's getting uniforms out or stuff the night before. If your kids aren't early risers, then um, pre- pre-do as much as you can. The next bit that needs to change is the environment. So I've talked about using visuals, but then maybe it's something like if your kids don't handle rushing well, maybe it's about an earlier wake time, with some quiet time built in, or time for kids to kind of just wake up at their own pace. Um, so these, they're both environmental changes. It's having the visual information, it's creating a little bit more space and calm in the morning as well. Um, the next part is how you structure what your kids do. And so, as that, it might be breaking up their routine into smaller steps that's more manageable. So, for example, rather than saying, okay, it's time to get ready, go and get ready, you might say, okay, it's time to brush your teeth. And then you say, and it's time to put your uniform on. And now it's time to put your shoes on. And so you need to understand from your child what they need. Do they need a lot of instructions? Some kids do, because they need each little step at a time. For some kids who don't like requests or demands, that's too much. So you need to present it in a bit of a different way. And then, offer a lot of control as well about the small choices, because the more control our kids have in their lives, the better they feel. So it might mean that they get to choose. Well, so your child might be able to choose some of the parts of the task. They might not be able to choose what they wear. There's a uniform. Um, or they may be able to. They may be able to choose what they want to take for lunch, choose the order they do the tasks. Um, and yeah, give your child a bit of control if you can, because that's going to help them handle the morning a lot better. And then I wanted to say, talking about the effort that's required, and that's what we can encourage in the morning as well. So, as part of that, it might be encouraging and commenting when our kids are on task, like maybe, "Oh, you did that quite quickly. Well done. What's next? What are you doing next?" It could be the effort as well, like, "Oh, you got a bit upset about that, and then I watched you calm down, and then you got back to it. That was fantastic." Um, and just that encouragement can really help kids as well. The last tip I wanted to talk about, that can help, is one that is this idea that probably is familiar to a lot of you, and it's about doing that non-preferred stuff first and then the preferred task at the end. And so if you've got this visual routine or the checklist of what to do in the morning, it's a great way to then include something at the end that's positive, that's viewed as a bit of a reward. Um, and so for a lot of kids, don't have any screen time during the week, and that's fine. For some kids, they do, and that's fine. But I think if you can try and get your kids to do the list and then they have a little iPad time, that's a lot better than the other way around. For some families, it's that the kids then each get to pick a song that they're going to listen to in the car on the way to school. That's one that a parent shared with me, and I thought that was a fantastic idea. Uh, Sometimes it's, then like once you're dressed, you get to play with the dog or something. Doesn't have to be like, we don't have to think about it as a big reward. It can just be something your kid likes to do. And then that ends up as being a naturally rewarding experience after doing all of the jobs. Um, if you have a child who needs more reinforcement than that because they seem to struggle with the internal motivation, that's okay. Nothing wrong with your kid either. It's just how they're wired. And you might need to maybe make it one step, then something positive, or one or two steps, or three steps, and then something positive. So there's a little bit more positivity throughout the routine from the beginning to the end. And so I think that's a lot of what I wanted to cover about the strategies that can help for managing in the mornings when school is tough. But then I think too, we've got to get down to those deeper issues as well. And so, if school is hard for your kid because there is anxiety, then that's something that your kid needs help with. And that is maybe potentially by seeing a psychologist, or you can do, you and your child can do online anxiety programs together, or you can seek help from a psychologist like me who can teach you as a parent how to then help your child's mental health. Um, the thing about anxiety is that it makes, it's an uncomfortable feeling, and it makes us want to avoid the situation that brings it on. And if we do that, then everything feels better again, and we can fall into this pattern of always avoiding stuff, which makes the anxiety stronger. So it's a time, I think, that you can't intervene early enough if there's anxiety. It's really good to start the smaller it is so that you can start some progress towards managing it. Also, some of the research shows that the best or biggest improvement after working with psychologists for anxiety happens 12 months after the intervention is finished. And that really reflects how the process needs to be to learn how to manage the anxiety, but then it's that period of putting it into place with the strategies that needs to be continual before our brains and bodies learn to manage it and do a lot better. And so think about these mornings that are tricky. I wouldn't want to be doing it for another year for sure. Um, But if that's how long it's gonna take for my kid to feel really confident, I certainly don't wanna wait and then make it more than a year. So I think it's really important to talk to somebody if you've got concerns about this stuff. Um, and then, if it's other things like, sensory overwhelm, it's about understanding your kid's sensory, um, preferences and needs and trying to cater for them as much as possible. If it's about learning challenges, then you need to have an assessment of those challenges and make sure that the teachers have a plan in place to support your kids so that they're not feeling stressed out every day. Because that's another thing too that if it's happening daily, it's either kind of get going to get harder and harder each day, or it's going to get a little bit better and easier if you've got support. So don't wait on that one either. If it's difficulty with transitions or thinking flexibly about stuff, then developing those skills with your kids is really important as well. There's another episode that talks a little bit about how to help develop flexibility for your kids, but it's also something that you can get support for. Um, and managing emotions is another one. It's something kids can often have difficulty with. So, um, how they progress with that is for them to be taught either by a psychologist or by their parents. I think you guys, w- we have a lot more contact with our own kids than a psychologist could. So if we can learn how to do it and then help them, that's going to be the best way to support them. So for me, I think then hopefully what I've talked about has shown you that there are strategies that can help in the morning, and that's kind of just managing, like that's the practicalities of it. But if like the challenges are there because our kids got difficulty with things, which means they need support, but they also need help to develop the skills as well. And without help to develop those skills, though it's always going to be hard. Um, I was listening to a talk by pediatrician Dr. Billy Garvey on Monday at a conference who was saying he had this great way of explaining it, saying that he can sit in a room with a violin for 10 years, but he's not going to be able to play it at the end without being explicitly taught how. And I think that's true. So we can help our kids each day with this stuff, but if we're not actually also teaching them how to manage the emotions, how to understand anxiety and manage it, how to ask for, or how to give themselves what they need in terms of their sensory needs, then um, their skills aren't going to grow. So it's always going to be difficult. So we've really got to make sure that that's part of what we're doing to help our kids. Um, I think then hopefully this has helped with a little bit of a mindset shift about understanding what we need to do as parents. It's a balance of the practical support in the moment, and it's the other part of it is us understanding what our kids need, and then how we can help them with the skills that they need to develop. Um, it's not easy. And really want to acknowledge that because, and often what we're looking for, because we have busy lives and we just need to get to work and other places. It can be a challenge and really frustrating and stressful. And so often we're looking for that quick solution or fix. But I think, that's not going to get you all the way there. There's things you can do, but also there's things that your kid's going to need help with long term that will really make a difference. And so, you know, if you think that your child might need some help with some of these things, feel free to reach out. There's a link on my website where you can book a phone call where we can chat for 15 minutes to because I can help you understand some of these things, and then it might help you know, well, where's the best place to go for support? Is it some some support around anxiety? Is it sensory stuff? Is it that I need to learn as a parent? And it's really confusing. And so, I'm happy to give you 15 minutes of my experience so that we can try and work it out together and set you off on a better path. Because we're not meant to do this alone, and we all need a hand. And I'd be happy to be the one to guide you. So get in touch if you think that's going to be helpful. And you'll be able to tune into another podcast soon, and that will help as well. So for now, I'm wishing you peaceful mornings and a sense of getting to work with all your energy there, ready to start the day rather than that end of day depletion feeling. Um, have a good week, and I will be here with you next Monday. Thanks for listening to this episode of Parent Like a Psychologist. If you found it helpful, please share on Instagram so other parents can benefit too, and tag me at Leanne Tran Psychology so that I can say a big thank you. Head over to leannetran.com.au to join the village for bite-sized psychology tips straight to your inbox. I really hope this podcast has brought a new perspective and you a step closer towards a calm parent and a thriving child. Have a delightful day.